This is one interesting fact for every episode of Family Guy. But full disclosure, this will be just part 1 of 3 because otherwise this video would be literally 3 hours long. So this video will cover season 1 to season 8, then we'll upload parts 2 and 3 in a week and update the pinned comment below with a link to the next part. Okay, so let's start off with the very first episode of Family Guy, Death Has a Shadow.
Lois, honey, I promise, not a drop of alcohol is gonna touch these lips tonight.
Hey, who wants to play Drink the Beer?
Right here.
It's obvious that this episode is a higher quality recreation of the show's original pilot, but quite a few scenes originate even further back to Seth MacFarlane's original pitch for a show, The Life of Larry, which would eventually morph into the crude and crass show we know and love today.
I mean, some nut in his underpants could just walk in off the street, bang on the door, and demand God knows what. You guys have any Cheez-Its?
These scenes include God being embarrassed by a retelling of the story of Job, Peter having an outburst while watching the movie Philadelphia, as well as having his first fart at age 30. Some gags are just worth holding on to for 5 years. Next up is I Never Met the Dead Man.
Can you count to 3? Oh, indeed I can. 1, 2, 3!
Despite this being the second episode in the series, it was technically the premiere episode. Death Has a Shadow was aired following the 1999 Super Bowl, but the show would officially reach premiere status a few months later with the premiere of this episode. Just because you came second doesn't mean you can't come first. Not sure that makes much sense outside of this context, but hey, maybe somebody will find some inspiration behind it.
Isn't bribe just another word for love?
And next is Chitty Chitty Death Bang.
Lois, I got a very good reason.
Oh, wait a second. These are always classic.
This is the only episode in season 1 that does not have a cold opening or a little scene that comes before the intro musical number. According to a copy of the production script, there was apparently supposed to be a scene involving The Price is Right with Bob Barker. Not sure why this was cut, but maybe Brian strong-armed it so Barker couldn't preach about fixing your dogs.
Help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered.
And following that is Mind Over Murder.
If you guys were beers, I would drink every one of you.
This episode is home to the show's first musical number involving the main cast, with Lois serenading Peter's underground club.
You know you got the brand of kisses that I'd die for.
Hard to believe it wasn't MacFarlane doing this first with one of the 300 characters he voices, but it's nice that he gave Alex Borstein the distinction. Next up is A Hero Sits Next Door, which is also the first appearance of the Swanson family, made up of Joe, Bonnie, and Kevin.
You must be Peter. Joe Swanson.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Phil.
But everyone knows that. What you may not have noticed is that this is the first episode to not have any mention of death in the title. The team originally wanted every episode to be something dramatic to mimic old radio plays, but they kinda gave up on that by episode 5. And who can blame them? Our writer's already running out of clam puns, so I'm sure they would have blown through all their death jokes in a few seasons.
Holy crap, he's a crapple!
The next episode, The Sun Also Draws, had a line in it that, according to Family Guy, the official episode guide, drummed up some of the most hate mail the series had seen at that point. So what was the shocking, abhorrent, controversial line that had people up in arms?
Canada sucks!
Ooh, sounds like some people got their maple leaves in a twist. It may be important to point out that the writer of this episode, Ricky Blitt, is Canadian himself. So, hey, take it up with the self-hating Canadian, I suppose.
Oh, very funny. Now tell the one that doesn't suck.
And now for the final episode of season 1, Brian, Portrait of a Dog.
Just eat your cinnamon bun and stop being a bad dog.
How dare you?
This episode is the first time we hear of the Griffin's address as it's seen on an envelope reading 725 Spooner Street. However, this would later be retconned to 31 Spooner Street.
I've been living at 31 Spooner Street for 12 years.
So that's why Peter hasn't responded to my fan mail. Hopefully whoever lives at 725's been cool with me stuffing up their mailbox. Hold up, not like that.
Good night, Brian, and welcome home.
And that brings us to season 2 with its first episode, Peter Caviar Eater.
This house is freaking sweet.
So this is the first episode where we learn that Lois's family is loaded, and we're also introduced to Lois's parents, Carter and Barbara Pewterschmidt.
Peter, we've got to put that out.
And thus began the many years of Peter getting beat up by Carter, a time-honored tradition we still celebrate to this day. But the next episode, Holy Crap, was thought by some to be the show's last.
Holy mother! It's the Holy Father!
And right after this episode aired, Family Guy was pulled from Fox's broadcast schedule due to low ratings and the fact that it competed with much more popular shows in its time slot, like Frasier and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. The show would return later to finish out the season though, so it was saved from death, only to be cancelled at the end of the season. He was so young, ripped away in his prime.
Face it, I'm going to hell.
And the next episode, Da Boom, is home to another first in the series. This is the first episode where Mila Kunis officially takes the reins as the voice of Meg.
Kevin asked me to Quagmire's Millennium Party. I am so psyched!
R.I.P. Lacey Chabert. She's not dead, though maybe she wished she was after missing out on the role of a lifetime.
I finally get a date with Kevin, and he gets vaporized!
Next up is the episode Brian in Love.
Oh, God, not again, Brian. Why can't you stop peeing on the carpet?
This episode was the first of the series to be aired on Adult Swim, Cartoon Network's late-night, adult-oriented programming block. It was Family Guy's high ratings on Adult Swim that eventually convinced Fox to revive the series after it was canceled. So in a weird way, this episode kind of led the charge in getting Family Guy brought back. Everybody say, "Thank you, Brian and Love."
Oh my God! You can talk!
Up next is Love Thy Trophy, which is the episode cited as being the one that created the Quagmire character.
Well, I know you're not a Virgo. Ah! Hey, from down here, you look like a Pisces.
According to the DVD commentary for this season, Seth MacFarlane credits this episode with being the one that solidified Quagmire as more than just Peter's neighbor, but as he quoted it, a heartless hound.
What's all the noise, boys? I was just getting out of a sound sleep.
And we wouldn't want him any other way. Well, almost. Next up is Death is a Bitch, which introduces us to fan favorite character and the titular biatch, Death.
Oh, the doctor. Well, I guess he must know, right? I mean, he's a doctor and everything, and I'm just, Death.
So Family Guy's caught a lot of flack over the years for being derivative of The Simpsons, but that doesn't mean The Simpsons didn't do the same thing to them. 3 years after this episode aired, The Simpsons aired a Treehouse of Horror segment called Reaper Madness, which contained a similar plot involving Homer taking over the role of Death.
I might occasionally kill out of anger or to illustrate a point, but I am not a Grim Reaper.
Simpsons showrunner Al Jean claims he had no idea Family Guy had done this 3 years prior. Sure thing, bud. Sounds like the kettle's been calling the pot black for years now. Next up is The King is Dead, in which Peter has a pretty bold descriptor of himself.
Someone radiant and sassy, with a soul and a passion that can only come from hundreds of years of black oppression.
Famous black icon Peter Griffin, ladies and gentlemen. In actuality, this ended up being some cheeky foreshadowing, as Peter would later learn he had a black ancestor in Season 3's Peter Griffin husband, father, brother. And following that is I Am Peter, Hear Me Roar.
Hey, how about that Viagra, huh?
This episode marks the first appearance of Jim Kaplan, also known as the Salesman. Essentially, he's a character from the earlier seasons who would constantly convince Peter to invest in shady business dealings.
If you'll just sign this contract without reading it, I'll take your blank check and you won't be not loving your timeshare before you know it.
Though he's looking a little blonde this time around. Look, it was the early 2000s, everybody was frosting their tips. Picture this clam with frosted tips and tell me you don't love it. Next up is If I'm Dying, I'm Lying, where a series of biblical plagues befall the Griffin family.
Peter, the final plague is the death of the firstborn son.
Oh no, Stewie!
The firstborn son.
Meg!
Your wife.
Chris!
What Brian's referring to is the 10 plagues of Egypt that took place during the biblical story of Moses. Brian's actually the first person to call them out for what they are.
There's gotta be an explanation for all this.
You want an explanation? God is pissed.
So Brian does believe God is behind this, despite the fact that later in the series he identifies as an atheist. I always wondered what changed his mind. I'm like 90% sure it was for some woman he was chasing after. Following that is the episode Running Mates, which is the final episode to air with Lacey Chabert voicing Meg.
Mom, if you get elected to the school board, can you fix it so I win homecoming queen?
You may be confused why this is the 10th episode of the season and we've already heard Mila Kunis as Meg in prior episodes. That's just because most episodes are produced out of order, and some of the episodes featuring Chabert from this season may have been intended to be part of season 1. She kinda gets done dirty in this season too, not even being credited at the end of the episodes. But she would end up being in Mean Girls a few years later, so I'm sure she was drying those tears with that big fat check. Pretty fetch if you ask me.
Go, Dad!
He can't hear you.
Go, Dad!
And in the next episode, A Picture is Worth $1,000, the show is subjected to quite a few misspellings.
You're not even trying anymore, are you?
While the gang's at the amusement park, the roller coaster called the Meteor is misspelled as Meteor, and the shooting gallery has an extra T instead of an I. I guess it was the dyslexic artist's turn to do the backgrounds for this one.
It's partly an expression of my teenage angst, but mostly it's a moo cow.
And the next episode, 15 Minutes of Shame, holds a monumental, revolutionary first for the series. That's right, this is the first episode where Quagmire says giggity.
Hey, no problem, Meg. You probably bought me another 3 minutes. Giggity, 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 giggity.
And if you're curious where the whole giggity thing came from, Seth MacFarlane revealed it was a little Jerry Lewis joke between him and another comedian that eventually found its way into the show.
He would say, "Hey, Goigan." I'd be like, "Oh, Googie." And, so it devolved into this giggity, giggity.
And thus, a million middle school boys' senses of humor were changed forever. And the following episode, Road to Rhode Island, featured a pretty era-relevant change.
Oh, I won't even begin to. Can we go? Fine.
A scene involving Osama bin Laden going through airport security was cut from this episode after only airing once.
God, I hope I get it. I hope I get it. How many people does he need? How many boys? How many girls?
Considering this episode premiered a year after September 11th, yeah, I can understand cutting this. The scene was even removed from some DVD releases, but as of 2017, you can find the scene intact on Hulu. I guess the moral here is that the FBI should probably watch Family Guy more often. And let's go to the Hop features, the first appearances of many James Woods High School regulars, including Principal Shepard.
You didn't tell me anything. You just sat down and said, and that's my plan.
Neil Goldman.
What's got 4 arms, 4 legs, and 1 set of lips? You and me at the winter snowball.
And Connie D'Amico.
I guess Miss Wears a Hat all the time is gonna narc on us, aren't you?
Such icons. What a big day for all you Principal Shepard superfans out there. And the following episode, Damn It Janet, also features an iconic first-time appearance, this time for the evil monkey.
You know there's no such thing.
He doesn't say a word, and yet the monkey has more merch than those last 3 characters combined. Now that's an icon. And there's something about Polly Seth MacFarlane would once again pull from his Life of Larry pilot for a cutaway joke in this episode.
Reginald? I disagree.
The idea of a British drive-by must have tickled Seth so much that he just had to reuse it in an episode of Family Guy.
Reginald? I disagree.
Comedic genius. In He's Too Sexy for His Fat, the Griffins need their house fumigated due to fleas.
We got a 602 at 31 Spooner Street.
In case you were curious, 602 is the California Penal Code for trespassing. I guess that's technically what the fleas are doing, but luckily these guys brought the right tools for the job. And in E. Peter Bosunum, we get a better look at the surrounding area of Spooner Street.
Your property doesn't seem to be on the map. It's not part of Quahog.
And if you look closer at the map, you can see another street a block over is called McFar Lane. Wonder who that could be in reference to.
From this day forth, this territory will be known as Pretoria.
Up next is the story on page 1, which features a dark little hint towards Family Guy's future.
Luke Perry. That's it. Brian, I got my story.
If you look closely at the TV guide in this scene, you can see the bottom corner reads, "If you can read this, Family Guy is on the air." And this would have been true, unless you were watching this on a DVD between 2003 and 2005, because Family Guy would be canceled not long after this season would end.
You are so sued.
And the following episode, Wasted Talent, marks the first episode where Chris has no lines at all.
Oh man, this is the happiest day of my life.
I guess the son of Dr. Evil was getting a little too expensive to pay for some lines. And closing out season 2 is the episode For Father.
I'm Tiger Woods. I'm Tiger Woods. Whee!
Which, according to Seth MacFarlane, is what he believes to be his least funny episode. Well, there's gotta be a few duds. No wonder they got rid of Cleveland Jr. after this episode. The first episode of season 3, The Thin White Line, features the first time an episode had to be bleeped for swearing.
I don't have to impress you.
MacFarlane knew the series was heading toward cancellation, so he decided he didn't care about reeling in the swearing. So congrats to Stewie for the show's first F-bomb. And in Brian Does Hollywood, Brian starts directing adult films, which takes him all the way to the award shows.
A Woody? I'm up for a Woody?
At the Woodies, we see 2 men who are nominated for Best Original Score, Rod Jones and Walter Murphy. Both of these are names of composers who have worked on Family Guy, with Murphy even being the one who created the main title music. And now look at them, being put up for awards they can't tell their parents about.
And the award goes to Brian Griffin.
Woo!
And in Mr. Griffin Goes to Washington, a scene had to be changed up because of a real-world occurrence.
Get in the car, we're going to a skin bar.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, great. Yeah, that sounds good.
In this scene involving George W. Bush, Al Gore, and other government officials, the script originally called for a joke that hinted at Al Gore winning the 2000 presidential election. And well, you can see why they had to change it.
But I tell you what didn't kill her. Smoking.
You have our support, Griffin.
In One If by Clam, Two If by Sea, there's an interesting little connection to another cartoon.
Hello, Nigel Pinchley here.
The episode introduces 2 new characters, Nigel and his daughter Eliza. Coincidentally, this is very similar to the TV show The Wild Thornberrys, which also features a father character named Nigel and a daughter character named Eliza. What's more, the Eliza in that show is voiced by Lacey Chabert, who voiced Meg for the first season of Family Guy. Now that's pretty wild.
Oh, bloody hell! I've gone and wet myself!
In And the Wiener Is, it's clear that the National Gun Association is an obvious parody of the National Rifle Association.
A man's only as big as the gun he carries.
The organization would appear again in another Seth MacFarlane show, American Dad. Funnily enough, the writers for this episode, Matt Weitzman and Mike Barker, would go on to co-create American Dad alongside MacFarlane. I guess they saw a lot of potential in-jokes about gun-obsessed nuts.
You want to touch it? Go on. Gotta be careful, though. We don't want it to get too excited and go off in your hair.
And in Death Lives, we get a special appearance by musician Peter Frampton.
I'm too young to die. Are you sure you're not supposed to be at Keith Richards' house?
According to this episode's DVD commentary, Frampton actually wrote that joke himself. Not sure why he wants that other guy dead, but hey, I respect them for being open about it.
Oh, Peter, Our song.
And the episode Lethal Weapons was the last in the series to use a certain mix of the show's theme song. In the versions up to this point, Chris and Brian can be heard singing fairly clearly at the end.
He's our family guy.
And from every episode after this one, there would be a different version that put their voices more in the background. They're really trying to keep Seth Green from getting those residual checks, huh?
He's our family guy.
And in the next episode, The Kiss Scene Around the World, the show would see another long-running change, turning the carpet in the Griffin's living room from tan to blue.
Yikes. Awkward.
Told me that's where leprechauns hide their gold. More at 11.
I probably would have gone with something a little darker considering the amount of bodily fluids that get spilled in this room. In Mr. Saturday Night, Peter joins the medieval fair and starts a rivalry with the Black Knight.
I don't like you. I don't like your face, and I don't like you hanging around my girl.
And in case you thought he sounded a little familiar, the Black Knight is voiced by comedian and actor Will Ferrell. Yep, Ricky Bobby himself.
You see that, kids? Your father's nothing but a fizzle!
The next episode of Fish Out of Water was supposed to air on September 12th, 2001. You can probably guess why it didn't.
Oh my god! Oh my god, I can't.
The episode would be pushed back to the following week, and there was a possibility Seth MacFarlane wouldn't have been alive to see it. MacFarlane revealed that he was supposed to be on one of the flights involved in the tragedy, but he missed his flight due to a hangover. Probably one of the rare few times in history that alcohol actually saved someone's life.
Don't you sass me.
And in a Mission Impossible, you can catch a brief little message from a confused animator.
Computer on.
30 minutes before ship re-expansion.
If you manage to pause at the right moment when the wireframe model of Peter is shown, you can see the words, "I have absolutely no idea what is supposed to be written in this space, so I'm making something up. I hope they like it 2030. Well, nameless animator, I like it, so I guess you're in the clear.
I guess this is goodbye for now.
And the episode To Love and Die in Dixie features the first ever appearance from series favorite Herbert.
That's a nice muscly throwing arm you got there.
Thanks.
It takes some true talent to make an old creep who lusts after a teenage boy an icon, but somehow the show found a way.
Get your fat ass back here.
The next episode, Screwed the Pooch, sees Brian run away with Carter's prized racing dog, Seabreeze.
This is the room. The light switch is here. It's mostly for show.
When the pair are eventually found, their newspaper photo references the famous photo of Elian Gonzalez, who is at the center of a highly publicized custody battle involving Cuba and the US. But Gonzalez grew up to be an engineer, and Brian just kept kinda doing nothing.
You just tune this out, don't you? Wah! Well, tune this out! Wah!
And in Peter Griffin, Husband, Father, Brother, Peter gets in touch with his roots after finding out he has a black ancestor.
Holy crap, I'm black!
And if you stay all the way to the credits, Peter continues to connect to his roots by treating us to a rap version of the show's theme song.
Lucky there's a family guy. Lucky there's a family guy.
The flow, the rhythm. Peter may just be the white M&M. And the episode Ready, Willing, and Disabled is the first episode to acknowledge how Peter's chin looks kinda questionable.
Ah, how did these get up here?
This would also be referenced in the episodes PTV, Ocean's 3.5, and Mr. Act.
Dude, put that thing away! They're like children here!
Have some decency, Peter. And Family Guy would give us their first ever Christmas episode with a very special Family Guy Freakin' Christmas.
Hey, I'm on vacation! Happy birthday, Jesus!
And for a while, this would be their only Christmas special, as the show wouldn't see another one for 9 years until Road to the North Pole in season 9. Imagine not celebrating the holidays for that long. No wonder all the people in Quahog are crazy.
You can all ride a one-horse open sleigh to hell!
And Brian Wallows and Peter Swallows is yet another episode that was censored due to real-world events.
Come on, Pearl, there's so much you've missed in the last 30 years.
During Brian's musical number, we catch glimpses of both the World Trade Center and George Bush holding a funnel. Future airings of the episode in the 2000s would edit these references out, but modern versions keep them intact. Hindsight is a heck of a thing, isn't it?
You've got a lot to see.
In the episode From Method to Madness, the show makes reference to another lesser-known bit of Seth MacFarlane's work.
I'm book solid. I'm doing a 3-episode guest shot on the Gilmore Girls.
This is in reference to Seth MacFarlane's brief appearance on that same show. We all gotta start somewhere, but unfortunately for Stewie, it looks like it's already over for him.
Are you from Wardrobe?
And the episode Stuck Together, Torn Apart has a scene that was removed from Fox broadcasts of the episode.
Minority suspect! Minority suspect! Danger! He's got a gun!
But the scene is now in all versions of the episode. Sorry, Cleveland. And the episode Road to Europe has the distinction of being the final episode produced before the show was canceled for a second time.
Hey! Shut up!
Cancel culture was trying to take down Family Guy before cancel culture was even a thing. The final episode of the season to air regularly, Family Guy viewer mail number 1, is also unique in the fact that it's the first episode with no cutaway gags.
Riding on a bus, sitting next to bums, there's an open seat, hope that isn't Pete.
But since the episode is 3 standalone stories, you could say this episode is actually just 3 long cutaways.
Whoa!
And that brings us to Family Guy's first ever band episode, When You Wish Upon a Weinstein.
I have you.
Hey!
Fearing the episode would be viewed as anti-Semitic, Fox pulled the episode from their release schedule. The only way to watch it was either on the Season 3 DVD or on Adult Swim, where the episode would later be aired for the first time. This makes it the first episode of the series to debut on DVD, as well as the first episode to air on another network before Fox. The episode is actually pretty tame, but at the time it must have felt like finding a dark web video.
Yeah, let's go with that.
And that takes us to the first episode of Season 4 and the series revival, North by North Quahog.
Excuse me, I'm Mel Gibson, here for the key to my specially reserved room.
You're Mel Gibson?
Actor and director Mel Gibson was apparently approached to voice himself in this episode, but he turned down the role, later regretting it after seeing the episode. Really? Did he watch the whole episode?
Stealing Mel Gibson's towels, bathrobes, and Nazi paraphernalia is one thing.
The next episode, Fast Times at Buddy CNC Junior High, features a story involving Chris attempting to be coerced by his teacher into getting rid of her husband.
If we're going to be together, I need you to kill my husband.
This plot was based on the real-life case of Pamela Smart, a woman who convinced her underage boyfriend to do exactly that. She was arrested and is currently serving a life sentence. And all this for a boy who can't even drive.
Fine, I'll do it myself, but we're through.
And according to the DVD commentary for the episode Blind Ambition, Jesus' appearance in the episode was very important to a joke.
Jesus Christ! What? Get the Escalade, we're out of here.
It's against Fox's broadcast rules to use Jesus' name as an exclamation, so Jesus had to appear physically to make the scene suitable for airing. But the violence and crude humor are okay, don't you worry about that. And the next episode, Don't Make Me Over, is apparently one of Mila Kunis' favorites.
Gonna buy me a rainbow.
According to Kunis, she had been wanting an episode where Meg wasn't wearing the iconic pink hat that she's worn forever. It took nearly 6 years to get it, but she got it. Sounds like it was harder to get than a raise.
I'm so glad to be the real me again. It's too much work being beautiful.
And the Cleveland Loretta Quagmire served as one of the last appearances of Cleveland's wife, Loretta.
I'm a woman, Cleveland. I need some passion in my life.
This was mostly done because Loretta's voice actress, Alex Borstein, was tired of doing her gravelly voice. But also, the writers just didn't think there was much to her character beyond being Cleveland's wife. Man, first his son, now his wife. It must have been lonely in that house until the Cleveland show.
Loretta, what you did was unforgivable. This marriage is over.
So the episode The Thin White Line technically had the show's first F-bomb, but it's censored in every version of the episode. It wasn't until P-tarded that the show had its first real F-bomb that can be found uncensored.
In your f***ing face, f***wad!
I'd love for you to hear it, but blame YouTube for being a stickler about naughty words. The next episode, Brian the Bachelor, secured Seth MacFarlane his first and only Annie Award for the show.
Make those characters a little more three-dimensional? Little richer experience for the reader?
He won specifically for his portrayal of Stewie in this episode, and I'd like to believe it was that annoying high-pitched line delivery that sealed the deal. And 8 Simple Rules for Buying My Teenage Daughter has what, according to voice actress Alex Borstein, is her favorite all-time moment in all of television. Any guess which scene that is?
Get the phone. Call 911. Lois, get in here.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Alex, because I think a lot of us want to forget this ever happened.
Who wants chowder?
And the episode Breaking Out Is Hard to Do features a painstakingly reanimated parody of the music video for a-ha's Take On Me. But this was not a simple copy and paste job. The animation team had to redraw 2/3 of it to add Chris, remove the girl from the original video, and alter the sequence in a way that fits the gag. They even redrew the guys with wrenches so that the sequence looked consistent throughout. Okay, now I forgive you guys for using the same poses over and over again.
Chris, where have you been?
I don't know!
And when Lois starts modeling and model misbehavior, she finds herself some representation.
Karen Parada, modeling agent. Listen, sugar, I've seen your stuff.
The agent is named after the show's post-production supervisor, who would also later go on to become the show's associate producer. That name just comes with success, I suppose.
Sooner or later, every model needs a little boost, huh?
The following episode, Peter's Got Woods, holds an interesting distinction that differs it from most other episodes.
It's almost as scary as...
Boo!
While most episodes of Family Guy are rated TV-14, meaning suitable for those over 14 years old, this episode is rated TV-PG, a less severe rating. Not really sure why, considering this episode has an F-bomb up its sleeve.
Where does James Woods fit into the fun, you f***er?
And Perfect Castaway marks the end of Peter's arc as a fisherman as his boat is destroyed by a tropical storm.
I'm here 'cause of that.
I guess the SS, more powerful than Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and the Incredible Hulk put together, didn't exactly live up to its name. And in the episode Jungle Love, the writers hated the Will Ferrell movie Bewitched so much that they included a long sequence of Stewie traveling to Hollywood just to hit him.
Guess what? I'm a witch.
Guess what? I'm a Clippers fan.
Ferrell had previously guest starred on the show, but writers apparently felt so let down by him in this movie that they had no choice but to poke fun at him. I'm sure Ferrell could dry his tears with his millions of dollars.
Hello? That's not funny!
And in the episode PTV, Peter, Brian, and Stewie make their feelings about the FCC well known.
They may just be neurotic or possibly psychotic.
In 2007, this song was ranked second on the Museum of Television and Radio's TV's Funniest Moments special. Eat that, Simpsons!
Mr. Griffin, that was terrific.
And in the aptly titled episode Brian Goes Back to College, Brian returns to get his degree at Brown University.
But Brian, if you only had one class left, why don't you just go back and finish?
During a football game at the school, their opponents are the Board of Education, which is a cheeky nod to the Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court case that desegregated public schools. And like the verdict, Brown is winning unanimously. I seem to forget about the court ruling that let a dog go to college, though.
I failed. What? You failed?
Yep.
Well, and what the hell are you smiling for?
In the courtship of Stewie's father, Seth MacFarlane goes through an excruciating physical feat. This almost minute-long fit of laughter had to be done by MacFarlane twice since he voices Peter and Stewie. According to the episode's DVD commentary, this left MacFarlane literally sweating and his voice strained. Don't ever let him tell you voice acting isn't a physical job. Like, have you ever tried to just laugh for a minute straight convincingly in a character's voice? Go ahead, try it. Get back with me. And the episode The Fat Guy Strangler introduces us to Lois's long-lost brother, Patrick.
Peter, you shouldn't encourage people to be fat. Fat people are immoral.
Patrick is voiced by Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr., though this was pre-Iron Man, post-Jailbird.
I'm sorry, Lois. I never meant to hurt anybody.
And the episode The Father, the Son, and the Holy Fawns features another famous music video that the show animated over.
2 steps forward.
I take 2 steps back.
This is Paula Abdul's Opposites Attract, which originally starred a rapping cat named MC Scat Cat. Originally, the team couldn't separate Scat Cat's lines from Abdul's, so she actually came in and re-recorded her lyrics. Unfortunately, Scat Cat died in a shootout with police in the 90s and couldn't reprise his role. At least that's what I heard. The episode Brian Sings and Swings features the only time Stewie wasn't voiced by Seth MacFarlane. That's apparently former Family Guy writer and executive producer Ricky Blitt, who had made a laugh track with his voice. Seth MacFarlane found it so funny that he just had to include it in an episode.
You mean the way you can't control that messed up way that you laugh when you think something's really, really funny?
And the episode Patriot Games contains an iconic scene of Stewie beating Brian up.
That's good, OJ.
Family Guy would repeatedly use this scene for their 2009 Emmy campaign, with Brian stating he's voting for one of their competitors before Stewie beats him up until he votes for Family Guy. They did one for 30 Rock, Entourage, The Office, and more.
That's what she said. Get it? Get it? Oh my God! Eat fruit and die!
Needless to say, they did not win that Emmy. And when Quagmire's fake funeral is held in I Take Thee Quagmire, we learn that Mayor West has a new city mandate.
Well, Mayor West is afraid of zombies, so the city says all caskets must be encased in concrete.
This could be because Adam West played a character that literally got dragged to hell by a zombie in the movie Zombie Nightmare.
Kill me, Frank! Frank!
And in sibling rivalry, Stewie faces off against his fresh-out-of-the-womb half-brother, Bertram.
Bertram! I haven't seen you since our microscopic encounter.
He's referring to Season 3's of Mission Impossible, though it's interesting Stewie knows his name because it's never said in that Season 3 episode. Just a good guess, maybe? Bertram is a very common name.
You leave me no choice but to declare war!
And the following episode, Deep Throats, is the first episode to be written solely by Alex Borstein, the voice of Lois Griffin.
Come on, we can't give up on our goals.
Borstein sure wouldn't, as she would also write the episode Bango Was His Name-O and co-wrote A Fish Out of Water with Cleveland Brown voice actor Mike Henry.
You Indians were so awesome in oh so many ways.
But the episode Peterotica would find itself in a bit of legal trouble.
Nah, it's pretty clean. Carol Burnett works part-time as a janitor.
The real Carol Burnett tried to sue Fox for the use of her charwoman character without her permission. She asked for $6 million in damages, but her claim was rejected as this instance fell under parody laws. But hey, if I saw a chance to make $6 million the easy way, I'd probably have done the same.
How about I loan you $5? It's at the bottom of this jar of barbed wire and salt.
But Family Guy would shell out a few $1,000s for a song, and you may now kiss the, guy who receives.
Giggity, 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 ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
That song is called Witch Doctor, and according to Seth MacFarlane, it costs $10,000 to use that song for just a few seconds. You can't put a price on a good joke, but you can be a little pickier about what constitutes a good joke. Moving on to Petergeist, where Peter claims that he learned how to speak Braille.
Hey, bump, no bump, bump. 3 vertical bumps, 4 bumps in a square.
But when you translate that, it's just the letters F, L, and G. Must be some kind of an inside joke between Braille readers. And in Untitled Griffin Family History, an argument about The Godfather gave birth to an iconic meme.
It insists upon itself, Lois.
What?
It insists upon itself.
What does that even mean?
When this scene started to gain traction again in 2024, Seth MacFarlane gave some insight into the origins of this line, attributing it to a film history professor he had in college. But to this day, we still don't really know what that means.
I love the money pit. That is my answer to that statement.
And originally, the episode Stewie Be Good was meant to have a completely different name and plot.
Well, from this day forward, Stuart Gilligan Griffin will be a good boy.
According to the DVD commentary for the episode, the original name of the episode was going to be Queer as Stewie, and it would focus on Stewie coming out of the closet. But instead, they decided to give him a midlife crisis at the ripe age of 1.
I am never going to drink again, ever.
In the following episode, Bango Was His Name-O, Peter dresses up as Spider-Man to try and seduce Lois.
Here comes Peter on the clothesline party. His name's not Peter, really Spider-Man.
But the theme song he's actually singing is the classic Batman theme. It's a shame, too, because Spider-Man has a classic banger of a song himself.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can.
And the final episode of Season 4, Stu and Stewie's Excellent Adventure, was another episode that got Family Guy thrown into another lawsuit. So that little magic trick, if you can call it that, was created by joke magician Art Matrano, who would sue Family Guy for copyright infringement for using his act. He asked for $2 million in damages, but the courts dismissed the case. I thought that whole Carol Burnett thing from earlier was the silliest a lawsuit could get.
I'm never shy about sharing a gas bill, if you know what I mean. Did you just make a fart joke?
In the first episode of Season 5, Stewie Loves Lois, Peter sues Dr. Hartman over a prostate exam.
What the hell was that?
Mr. Griffin, that's a prostate exam.
Shut up! You had your finger in my ass!
This causes Dr. Hartman to lose his license, but according to the animatic of the Season 5 DVD, the episode almost went a different direction. Originally, Peter would win ownership of the hospital, give Dr. Hartman a prostate exam, and then Hartman would sue him to regain control of the hospital. I guess they changed that when they realized doctors don't actually own the hospitals.
I went to Dr. Hartman yesterday, and he did things to my Annie.
And the DVD for Season 5 would feature a bit of false advertisement when it came to the episode Mother Tucker.
You're here with Dingo.
And the baby!
Brian and Stewie bring in a topless woman for their radio show, and her chest is blurred out, even on the DVD, which claims to be uncensored. A terrible day for people who want to be freaks but don't know how to use the internet.
For every hot dog that you catch in your mouth, you get $100 toward a boob job that you desperately need.
In Hell Comes to Quahog, Peter and the boys get groovy at the roller rink. The song they're grooving to is called A Fifth of Beethoven, a one-time chart topper from 1976 that was created by Walter Murphy, who, if you remember, also composed the theme song for Family Guy. Now, if only I didn't have the balance of a newborn, I'd be out there skating to this bop too.
That was awesome! Oh my god, that was completely by accident!
And Saving Private Ryan is the first episode in the series that has the distinction of being directed and written by a woman, with Cindy Tang and Cherry Cheva-Prabhadumrong, respectively.
Oh, ow! Oh, we are in so much pain right now, the two of us. Oh, ow! Ow! Okay, that was real!
And Whistle While Your Wife Works is the first episode that changes up the iconic intro, for the worse. Well, at least for Peter.
out!
It's too bad they haven't figured out that they don't have to perform the intro for every episode. In Prick Up Your Ears, the show makes a joke about how it'd be a bad move to cast Irish actor Liam Neeson in a Western.
To hell with parliamentary procedure. We've got to wrangle up some cattles.
Funnily enough, Seth MacFarlane would cast Neeson years later in his Western film A Million Ways to Die in the West. However, because of this clip, Neeson agreed to do it on one condition.
I'll do it on condition that I can use my own Irish accent.
Now I know the West was wild, but an Irish cowboy? Now that's just insane. And according to the DVD commentary for Chick Cancer, Stewie's story was supposed to play out a little differently.
She's a woman now, Brian, so sophisticated, so grown up, and she says she wants a grown-up man.
So instead of chasing after his old flame Olivia, Stewie was originally going to try to seduce Jillian's friend Anna, going so far as to build a robot to make him look like an adult. Is that less weird than Stewie and Olivia getting married as toddlers? I'll let you decide.
I, Stewie, take you, Olivia, to be my lawfully wedded wife.
And Barely Legal is so far the only episode of Family Guy to nab Mila Kunis a voice acting nomination.
I have to buy a new dress. All the ones I have make me look fat.
Aww. She was nominated in 2007 for an Annie Award, and although she didn't win, she can rest easy knowing she shares a group award from the Spike Video Game Awards for her role in the Family Guy video game. It doesn't get more prestigious than that.
Go away, Stewie. I'm hanging out with my boyfriend.
And in Road to Rupert, Meg has to turn to SpongeBob to keep Peter quiet.
SpongeBob.
The song he's listening to, the Campfire song, is pulled straight from the SpongeBob episode. Funnily enough, not only did the director of this episode, Dan Povenmire, write for SpongeBob, but he's actually the one who wrote the Campfire song. It was nice of Nickelodeon to let them use the song for an episode like this.
Get out of the Get out of the go right now, man!
But the episode Peter's Two Dads did have a song that's never been heard because of copyright issues.
That is enough!
You struck me!
When Stewie realizes he gets aroused after being hit by Lois, he's supposed to sing a rendition of I Want It Now from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I want the world. I want the whole world.
The song was recorded, but the licensing rights prevented it from being broadcast, so lost media it remains. Throw that one on your Family Guy iceberg. And the Tan Aquatic with Steve Zissou gave us an update on Peter's age.
You beat up a 13-year-old boy.
He called me names.
You're 43.
This would be the canon age for him until 2022's The Jersey Boar, where his age is updated to 45. So what I'm saying is Peter's owed at least 2 more birthday parties.
Cook much?
And the episode Airport 07 marks the first time the show references the events of September 11th, 2001.
You know, said my pet goat, I'm sure if I watched Grey's Anatomy, I'd like it.
This scene of Mayor West being notified of a plane crash is directly parodying the moment when President George W. Bush was notified about the attacks. Considering MacFarlane was supposed to be on one of those flights, it's clear that sometimes he can find humor in unlikely, depressing places.
You should make the time, said the farmer.
And Bill and Peter's Bogus Journey is the first instance of the show using country singer Conway Twitty as a transition.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty.
Not just once, but twice. If you don't know how to leave a conversation, just know you can always fall back on your good pal Twitty.
I could use a distraction right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty.
And in No Meals on Wheels, the Griffins open up a restaurant where they don't take too kindly to people questioning their food.
The guy at table 7 complained there's not enough juice on his prime rib.
Oh, did he know?
Hey, rat vomit's a delicacy where I'm from. In actuality, it's physically impossible for rats to vomit as they possess a one-way digestive system that doesn't allow food or liquid to come back up. But I hope you've enjoyed your daily rat fact. And the episode Boys Do Cry helped fulfill a little girl's lifelong wish before she died.
I sing, I do gymnastics, and I can play 7 instruments at the same time.
The girl voicing her is Camilla Stoll, a then 12-year-old girl who dreamed of becoming an actress but was battling leukemia at the time. She was introduced to Seth MacFarlane by Jillian's voice actress Drew Barrymore, who agreed to give her a role in this episode. Though, unfortunately, Stoll passed away before the episode's premiere. Sorry for such a downer of a fact, so here's Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris?
And the next episode, It Takes a Village Idiot and I Married One, also shares a name with a book written from Lois's perspective.
Darth Vader tried to buy yellow cake uranium from unwed teenage mothers.
The book was written by Alex Borstein and Cherry Cheva-Pravadamrong, with Borstein technically receiving writing credit for this episode under the name A. Bo. Now, is that a typo or one of the weirdest pen names in history?
You know what, West? You can have your job back.
And in the final episode of Season 5, Meet the Quagmires, we get to see Peter's ID along with his height and weight.
That's where the 4th hole is, right there in the back of the knee.
So he's listed at 5'10 and weighs 308 pounds. How he's able to go on these long-winded chicken fights across town is beyond me. And the first episode of season 6, Blue Harvest, is also the show's first Star Wars parody episode.
You can kiss the lower part of the back of the canister that is my body.
Initially, the original Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, was going to be a guest on the DVD commentary, but pulled out after hearing a comment about Harrison Ford in the episode.
I'm Han Solo, captain of the Millennium Falcon, and the only actor whose career isn't destroyed by this movie.
Come on, Hamill, you're the Joker, baby. No need to get your Batman panties in a wad. And the 100th episode of Family Guy, Movin' Out Brian's Song, featured a clip deemed so controversial that it needed to be removed from the episode.
Don't you understand? I don't want a committed relationship with Jillian.
Originally, the end of the episode's first act was to be capped off with a gag involving Quagmire assaulting Marge, going back to her house with her, and then killing the entire Simpsons family. But don't worry, you sickos, the scene is still available to watch on the DVD and Adult Swim versions of the episode.
Get off my wife!
Oh my god, oh my god!
And believe it or not, Joe's Walking on Air is also the first episode of the show where Meg doesn't appear at all.
Well, I'd say the men's club inaugural ball is a huge success.
I'm sure there's some out there upset over that, but everyone else?
Yeah! Yeah!
However, the following episode, Stewie Kills Lois, is the episode actually considered to be Family Guy's 100th episode.
Are you trying to make us look bad, you son of a bitch?
I believe the reasoning for this is that since season 2's When You Wish Upon a Weinstein wasn't being broadcast at the time, this episode technically was the 100th episode to make it to airways. Plus, having the episode where Stewie finally kills Lois as the 100th is just too poetic to pass up.
I did it! I killed her! She's dead!
And the follow-up to that episode, Lois Kills Stewie, features a whole musical number that was cut for time, but it can be found on the DVD version. And it's kind of become a bit of a mini meme in the past few months.
There's the white kid with the baggy clothes who's talking like he's black.
The following episode, Padre de Familia, reveals that Peter was actually born in Mexico.
As far as the U.S. government is concerned, you're an illegal Mexican immigrant.
The episode is named after what the show is known as in most Spanish-speaking countries, even though that's not an exact translation. It loosely translates to family father or father of family. I guess Chico de Familia doesn't have the same ring to it.
It seems like a lot of work for no respect.
And in Peter's Daughter, Stewie and Brian blow up a house, and you get to see every angle. And in case you were curious, the house is seen exploding 36 times. They must have brought Michael Bay in for this episode.
Didn't we have an electrician in there today?
And in McStrokes, Stewie creates a new identity to become the most popular boy in high school.
My name is Zach Sawyer. I just transferred here from rich, expensive car-driving Tavern High School.
Considering he's doing this to stick it to shows set in high school, it's most likely his alter ego is named after Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell and Peyton Sawyer from One Tree Hill.
Hey, guess what?
What?
That's what.
And the next episode, Back to the Woods, features a callback to Seth MacFarlane's past work.
Get your eyesight fixed, unless you don't have the balls. Jewish!
A little thunderclap you heard at the end is called Castle Thunder, and it's a classic sound effect from the Hanna-Barbera sound library, having been used in a ton of their shows like Scooby-Doo. Seth MacFarlane got his start in animation at Hanna-Barbera, so it's cool to see him continuing to pay homage even in subtle ways.
I love Barry Manilow.
Oh my god, he's the best!
And Played Again, Brian features yet another musical number that was cut, this time involving neighborhood creep Herbert.
All I need now is the boy.
This number was cut for time, but could finally be seen in the musical number collection at the end of the season 8 episode, Brian and Stewie. And it's just as unnerving as you'd think an old guy going to babysit his crush could be.
I got the time and the place and I got rhythm. Now all I need is Chris to go with him.
And the next episode, The Former Life of Brian, borrows a little gag from its sister show, American Dad.
Something on your mind, son?
This is almost a verbatim copy of a scene from American Dad's episode, Stanley Get Your Gun.
Something on your mind, champ?
And finishing up season 6 is Long John Peter, capping off what is, at the time, the shortest season of Family Guy yet at only 12 episodes.
Sometimes I have to poop for a long time. Now you say something.
This was due in part to the 2007 to 2008 Writers Guild of America strikes, where Seth MacFarlane put the entire show on hold until a new deal could be struck with the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers. A champion of the people, that guy.
Ah, for no reason I'm going to fire this cannon all over your store!
And the first episode of season 7, Love Blatchley, is the last appearance of Loretta Brown in Family Guy before her death.
I love you, Cleveland.
She would appear again in the Cleveland show, but let's just say her send-off there was less than honorable.
No, 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 no!
Oh, God!
In the following episode, I Dream of Jesus, the world was blessed, or cursed, with Peter's favorite song, Surfin' Bird by the Trashmen.
Well, a bird, bird, bird. But bird's a word. Well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a word.
But this wasn't the original song choice for this episode. Actually, the show wanted to use the song The Streak by Ray Stevens.
Oh, yes, they call him the Streak. Fastest thing on 2 feet.
But when they couldn't secure the rights, executive producer Danny Smith suggested Surfin' Bird, and the rest is ear-bleeding history. Next up is the 4th Road 2 episode, Road to Germany, which actually features a few firsts.
The monkey goes,
Macaque! No, it does not.
It's the first Road 2 episode to not feature a Peter and Lois side plot, to not be directed by Dan Povenmire, and to not feature a musical number. Not from a lack of trying, though.
Damn it, will you two just get in the time machine?
And in Baby Not On Board, we get our first ever hint to the forthcoming The Cleveland Show.
Did I tell you I'm getting a spin-off?
Though this was only shown in the broadcast version. Sorry, but you gotta be using cable if you want to know about the greatest animated series ever, and it's canceled. And in the episode The Man with Two Brians, the show kinda inspired a stunt for one of the Jackass movies.
I'm Glenn Quagmire, and this is Bee Bush.
Quagmire's slathering of honey on his crotch is in reference to the bikini stunt from the original Jackass show. But years later, the stunt crew would take notes from this episode and do the stunt again for their film Jackass Forever, only this time while completely nude. But something tells me real bees hurt a lot more than the cartoon bees.
Ah! What the f***? Why would you do that?
And Tales of a Third Grade Nothing had one of its jokes ruined by Fox's scheduling.
This court finds you guilty and sentences you to 7 days in prison. You'll be out next Sunday at 9.
But what actually happened is Fox ended up pushing Family Guy from its usual 9 p.m. time slot to make room for the movie 24 Redemption. Maybe Family Guy can return the favor in 100 years when they actually make their own movie.
Yeah, you're a smart fella, Dad.
And you're a fart smeller, Meg.
And the episode Ocean's 3.5 is historic because Bonnie finally has her dang baby.
Congratulations, Mrs. Swanson. It's a beautiful baby girl.
This means Bonnie was pregnant for almost 10 years if we go by real-world time. Sounds like Susie better get signed up for 5th grade.
It's hard to believe she's already 18.
And when Peter turned gay in the episode Family Gay, the writers wanted to have Peter's transformation be a bit more subtle.
I'm gonna squeeze right in here if my thighs will let me.
According to the DVD commentary, Peter was just supposed to act a bit more refined, but when the writers struggled to come up with enough jokes, they decided to go a more obvious route, which kinda means Peter just sounds like Roger now.
Well, it wasn't the Muffin Fairy. Or was it?
And The Juice is Loose is yet another episode that had to be adjusted due to real-life events.
What are you doing up there?
Your girlfriend! What do you think I'm doing up here? I'm stuck!
The focal point of this episode, O.J. Simpson, was arrested for robbery a few months before this episode aired. Not wanting to scrap the episode, the team decided to throw a lost episode notice at the beginning of the episode. It's a shame because before this conviction, O.J. Simpson was a pretty swell stand-up guy, wasn't he?
Who's that?
The next episode, Foxy Lady, marks the 3rd time in the series that Griffin has gotten a job in broadcasting, with the first being Meg in the kiss scene around the world.
Congratulations, you got the job. Oh my God!
And Peter in Stewie B. Good.
You know what really grinds my gears? You, America. You.
And this wasn't the only thing she copied from others in this episode. And the episode Not All Dogs Go to Heaven featured a pretty neat sci-fi reunion.
It's them! I did it! The cast of Star Trek The Next Generation is here to answer my questions!
This episode reunited the entire original cast of The Next Generation, with each actor coming in to record their own selves. This marks the first time the whole cast had worked together since 1990. McFarlane has gotta be the biggest Star Trek nerd around.
This whole experience was absolutely exhausting.
And the episode 420 ended up being so controversial in Venezuela that it got the entire show banned.
Don't be a hypocrite, you've smoked pot.
Well, show up, Ryan, but I'm thinking about the children.
Any station broadcasting the show ran the risk of being fined, as they believed this showed America's clear support of cannabis. But to be fair, if the country actually supported it, this episode probably wouldn't have actually been made.
Enough with this phony war on drugs!
And the episode Steroids featured Meg's first ever F-bomb.
You want my help? You can go f*** yourself.
Surprised it took so long. I don't think I've seen anyone more in need of a swearing session than Meg. And the episode We Love You, Conrad almost had a different celebrity at the center of its plot.
Oh my God, you're Lauren Conrad.
Apparently the episode was to be called An American Dog in Paris, referencing both the movie An American in Paris and the infamous adult tape One Night in Paris, which featured the show's original choice, Paris Hilton. But something tells me she didn't want to be on a show that made a joke about all of that.
You remind me of my stepdad.
In the episode Three Kings, Family Guy retells some of Stephen King's most famous stories.
Well, that's our show. Thank you, Stephen King. We'll see you in court.
Despite that claim, the producers of the episode actually went to King for approval of the parodies, and he agreed to each of them. Yeah, something tells me the guy who writes about haunted cars doesn't take himself too seriously. And the last episode of Season 7, Peter's Progress, is also Cleveland Brown's final full appearance on the show before the Cleveland show.
Hey y'all, I want you to meet my cousin from Jamaica, Madame Claude.
But don't get too sad. He still makes like 18 cameo appearances on the show before coming back full time. It's like he never even left. And the first episode of Season 8, Road to the Multiverse, is currently ranked as the greatest episode of Family Guy of all time on IMDb.
Are you kidding? This is amazing.
Not only that, but it's also the first, and at this time, the only episode to hit a 9-star rating. Now, if only they could have found an alternate universe where the show wins an Emmy.
How's it feel to be on a major network for 30 seconds?
And the following episode, Family Guy, has a scene in it that more or less solidifies Mark Wahlberg's role in the movie Ted.
Mark Wahlberg in Annoyed and Confused.
What? What's going on?
Apparently, Wahlberg found this little sketch to be just funny enough that he agreed to sign on to Seth MacFarlane's film. Luckily, he wasn't as confused as the parody of him.
Where am I? What the... Huh? What the hell's going on here? Huh? What?
And Spies Reminiscent of Us actually has the show's first crossover with the Cleveland show.
No.
Jeez, he's gone for like 2 episodes and they're already wanting him back. And the episode Brian's Got a Brand New Bag contains the first time the show tributed an episode to a celebrity.
Roadhouse.
This episode is in honor of Patrick Swayze, who passed away 2 months before this episode aired. Hopefully he's still roundhouse kicking in tight jeans wherever he is now.
Keep the change. Roadhouse.
And the episode Hannah Banana came from Seth MacFarlane's desire to move past some of Family Guy's old shtick.
Here he is, the evil monkey. Do you believe me now?
According to Seth, he wanted to make it known that he wasn't afraid to change things up, so he decided to write the monkey out of the show while using him to provide a great episode. But he did at least give him some time to tear people up in the Cleveland show.
Thanks for your help, monkey. Rip their faces and nuts off.
In the episode Quagmire's Baby, Quagmire's daughter finds a new home with a happy-looking couple.
Look at her. She looks so happy.
Their pairing must come down to timing, because when Quagmire goes to drop Anna Lee off at the adoption agency, her new parents can be seen waiting at the counter. Did they just adopt the first baby they saw? Personally, I like to haggle with the agency so I can get the newer models at a low price. Or is that the car dealership?
I think I might have made a terrible mistake.
And in Jerome is the New Black, Stewie talks about watching the movie Tommy Boy and interacting with its lead star, Chris Farley.
But I thought my knocking on the TV glass distracted him, and that's what made him fall down that hill.
Except there's no scene like that in Tommy Boy. The writers must have gotten it confused with the movie Black Sheep, which also stars Tommy Boy's leads, Chris Farley and David Spade, and has a scene where Farley falls down a hill. Both came out like a year apart, so yeah, we'll forgive you for this blunder, Family Guy. But you're on thin ice.
Thanks for the steak.
And the episode Doggone features a voice cameo from a contest-winning fan.
Okay, Barney, I'm going to work now, but I'm going to leave NPR on for you.
This woman is voiced by Kel McFarlane, who won a contest through MTV to come to Hollywood and voice a character on the show. And despite the last name, no, she's not related to Seth. She actually changed her last name as a tribute to the show. Yeah, might want to keep an eye on that one.
I'm gonna do a big jump off. Ah! Get Mom!
And in Business Guy, Peter takes over Carter's company and threatens to fire Lois.
Does the name Lacey Chabert mean anything to you?
Okay, I'll behave.
This is referencing Meg's first voice actor who left the show after season 1, though she wasn't fired and actually left on her own accord. At least, that's what the public was told. Got another addition to the Family Guy iceberg for you. And in Big Man on Hippocampus, Peter loses his memory and decides to sleep with Tiffany Thiessen from Saved by the Bell.
Oh, and don't worry about getting me pregnant. I'm already pregnant.
In reality, the actual Tiffany Thiessen was pregnant at the time of this episode airing. She must have gotten pregnant so that line of Family Guy would make sense. Now that's a commitment to acting.
That's a beautiful necklace you're wearing, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Is that what you do with your Saved by the Bell money?
And Dial Meg for Murder finally rounds out an interesting milestone in the show.
Oh my God, what is that smell?
It's my poop bucket.
What the hell?
This marks the moment when all 6 of the main cast have had their name appear in an episode. As per usual, Meg is picked last in this, just like everything else.
What do I care if I go back to prison? Nobody cares about me anyway!
The episode Extra Large Medium has some well-documented controversy behind it, involving a character with Down syndrome making a reference to politician Sarah Palin, who has a child with the disorder herself.
My dad's an accountant, and my mom is the former governor of Alaska.
This line stirred up a good amount of controversy and support from both sides of the aisle, but one person in the show's production actually objected to it. That would be Patrick Warburton, who voices Joe Swanson, who allegedly objected to the joke, finding it in bad taste and simply just not funny. Careful, Warburton, does the name Lacey Chabert mean anything to you?
We need your psychic powers to lead us to him before the bomb goes off.
And the episode Goes to Go has a voice cameo from a pretty big Hollywood name in a bit part.
Good morning, and welcome to Jolly Farm.
That's Academy Award-winning actress Anne Hathaway voicing Mother Maggie, which continued the trend of Family Guy casting a high-profile actress whenever they needed someone to voice this character.
Maybe that can wait till later, Mary.
And the episode Peter Asment received calls for Fox to cancel the series after making a musical about a real person.
Terry Schiavo is kind of alive-o.
This little musical references Terry Schiavo, a comatose woman who is at the center of a highly publicized court battle between her husband and family over whether or not they should end her life support. Terry's family protested the episode and got several other pro-life organizations to protest the show's sponsors to get them to pull out.
We've got to pull the plug!
In the episode Brian Griffin's House of Pain, we learn that Brian may have or go by a different name.
What I Learned on Jefferson Street, written by H. Brian Griffin.
But according to the episode's DVD commentary, the H doesn't stand for anything. That's just Brian being a pretentious douche. Their words, not mine, though I do share the sentiment.
What'd you guys think? Not the worst thing in the world, right? Oh, ha ha.
And in April and Quahog, Peter gets his game on with a little Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Okay, guys, tell me again. Now, which one do I press to shoot now?
And if you look at the gamer tag of the player that snipes Peter, you'll see their name is 402. This is actually the username of Robert Bowling, who was the creative strategist and community manager for the game, which means he probably has the power to banhammer Peter from the game for sucking so much.
Who dropped a grenade?
Idiot! We're gonna play!
Moron! You suck!
And the unique episode Brian and Stewie is one of the few episodes that lacks a lot of what the show is best known for.
You stink, and now I'm trapped in here with you and your stink because you were too stupid to call somebody who could help us.
Not only does the episode feature no cutaway gags or background music, it's also the first episode to not feature Peter or Lois, and thus makes this the first episode with no female characters. This would also make Brian the only character to appear in every episode up until In Harmony's Way, as he was killed off in the prior episode.
I just realized something.
What?
Tomorrow's Sunday.
And in the episode Quagmire's Dad, Brian vomits for 30 uninterrupted seconds. Isn't that something? For some reason, this made me want to Google what the longest instance of uninterrupted vomiting was, and though I couldn't find the answer, I did find that the farthest someone had ever vomited was 68 feet. How? I mean, I don't want to know, but how? In the splendid source, Peter and the guys go on the hunt for the origin of a dirty joke they heard, which leads them on a global journey.
And so began our journey to find the splendid source of off-color humor as we know it.
But we actually know the source of the joke. It's told by the character Marty Funkhauser in the season 7 episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Table Read.
P.S. Your is in the sink.
Honestly, most jokes I know can probably be traced back to Larry David too. And in the second installment of the show's Star Wars parodies, Something 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 Dark Side, Seth MacFarlane set a voice acting record.
Well, I just realized that my spaceship works better when I have the keys. Duh!
Seth voices 26 characters in this episode, which set a record for the time for most characters voiced in a series. This would be blown past by South Park co-creator Trey Parker, who accumulated an astonishing 1,382 voice roles in South Park by 2019. I guess it doesn't matter that they all sound pretty much the same, but I guess that can be applied to MacFarlane too.
Prepare to fire giant boob nipple gun.
And we end season 8 with currently the only episode to not be available on streaming, Partial Terms of Endearment.
Gonna have a three-way with your mother and her friend.
With this episode only being available to watch legally on DVD, this makes it the hardest episode to watch. And I'm not just talking about the content.
We had the abortion.
And that's part 1 done. As soon as parts 2 and 3 are available, the videos will be on screen to click now. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your appreciation and subscribe to the Sweaty Clam channel if you haven't already. See you next time.